Okay, here we are. David Maida Presents the legendary Robin Trower. Robin, how are you?
I'm good. I've got this meeting. This meeting is being recorded. Come up on the screen here.
Yes, and you're good. We are
Oh,
recording,
here we go. Yeah, that's got rid of it.
so we are officially live and ready. So
Can't
I'm
see you though.
say that again, Robin.
I can't see you.
Okay, so
I can. There we go. That's it. Yeah.
there we
Now
are.
we're
Okay.
in this.
Take three. Yeah. David Maida Presents the legendary Robin Trower. Robin, good to see you today.
Nice to be here with you, or
Yes.
there, or here.
How are things in the UK?
It's very wet today. We've got a bit of a rainstorm coming through.
Okay. Okay. So, well, fortunately here, that like our Phillies are winning, so they're up 2 games. Um, so that's a good thing. And the weather's 65. So, we have
Beautiful.
we have to get you back to the States one of these summers for some ball games. I know you're a big fan of baseball. So,
Yeah, that's right. I love baseball.
okay.
Not as
So
much as I love soccer though.
what's that?
I
Not
said
like
not as much as I love the soccer.
right. And or football, as they say in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, okay. So let's talk about your latest release, which is, by the way, I got the sneak peek to listen to the entirety of Joyful Sky, featuring Sari Schorr, which, wow, talk about, off the charts, really like powerful vocalist. And every track is just from start to finish. I think your fans, as well as new fans, are going to be very pleased. Can you tell us a little bit about how Sari came into play um, and got on board to be the vocalist for this release?
Well, we're both managed by the same manager, Alan Robinson. And last year, a bit more than a year ago, I think, Alan asked me if I would think about writing something for Sari. And so I asked him to send me some tracks so I could hear what she was about. And when I heard it, I thought to myself, that's a really great voice. And I heard something in a certain range of hers, which I really loved. And I thought, well, if I can put together some songs where she's singing in that range, I thought to myself, it'd be a knockout. So my first thought was there was a song that I'd had on my last album called I Will Always Be Your Shelter, which I could immediately hear her singing it. And so I did a completely new arrangement in her key and everything, and that was so good. I thought, oh, we're going to do some more, and so it went on from there. And I wrote some songs for her, and I already had some tracks which I eventually tried her on, which she was great on as well. So and that's how it kicked off.
Well, yeah, it's funny she mentioned that I will be always be your shelter, which is one of my favorites already. After listening in last week or so over and over again, it's a really powerful track.
Yeah,
Uh,
and she definitely lifts it. There's no doubt about it.
yes, and the lead track, right? Burn is the first one, and then I'll be moving on. Correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
So
Be Moving On is my favorite track on the album.
wow, wow, and you also you have a different yes, Mr. Sam Winfield has worked with you on this one, right?
Yeah, I mean he's been engineering my albums. Must be 4 or 5 albums now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the last 4 or 5, he's come on board, and he's the guy that's when you're going into the studio, he's the guy that's just manning the board and being the engineer.
yeah. Well, it's his studio,
Okay.
uh, and he's mustard. I mean, really, really hot stuff. He's great.
Yeah, like I said, the recording itself, and one thing I'll give you props on is the quality of it. It's the clarity is great. So this Joyful Sky release, as a matter of fact, I don't know if you can see this here. I have it on vinyl.
Looks great, doesn't it?
Whoever did the artwork for this, they're pretty good. Well,
Yeah, I'm happy with it, I must say.
yeah. I mean, could you tell us a little bit about the last, you've been doing this now over the last X amount of years. You're designing all the cover art, which
Yeah.
is like amazing. And this is another one that's just, how long did it take to come up with something like this? I mean, it's really creative and it's brilliant.
Well, I think usually it takes about 3 or 4 days working on an idea.
Okay.
You know, I may sort of sometimes sort of go back to the beginning and start again if I'm not happy with the way it's going. But yeah, I think that took about 4 days on and off. You know, looking at it, thinking about it.
Okay. And I noticed that, again, with the pandemic, you had a lot of time and you were basically recording tracks after tracks after tracks. And, I always say to you, like, wow, you know, you could put out a box set of new material. So your creativity is just really flowing. And I always say this to you, and I'm not just giving you props. I mean it. It's like, you all grow all gracefully, but boy, you're stepping it up to the next level. It's really great stuff. You're playing is I'm at a loss for words because as well as I do, the feel, it's in the hands. There's only one Robin Trower. He can't be duplicated by anyone.
Now you got me blushing.
Nah, you're not blushing. It's true.
I actually about 4 weeks ago finished the next album. So
Really?
yeah, so I mean it's not completely mixed down to the nth degree, but it's close.
Okay. So then again, there's a lot of things brewing. I had a conversation with Nancy Wilson of Heart this week, and I mentioned your name, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs," and
Yeah.
I hear it from everyone, whether it's Joe Bonamassa or Steve Lukather is another one. Obviously, he's like, "I just want to talk to Robin. I'm such a fan," So you're well loved in the community of and the industry of music by other greats out there, and respected. Yeah,
That's nice to hear. That's
yeah,
very nice to hear.
yeah. And speaking of, also besides the new release, which by the way, everyone, please go to robintrower.com. I'm going to say this to everyone. I'm going to keep saying it during the course of this podcast. There's some really cool things in the works. Besides the new release that comes out on next Friday, the 27th of October, Robin Trower, Joyful Sky, featuring Sari Schorr. It's on the Mascot Provogue record label. So you want to pick that up out either on vinyl or go to any digital download platform and get it because it's really good. But besides that, I'd like to talk a little bit about this cool streaming event concert that's planned for Saturday, November 4th. That's really exciting, Robin. So for those that do not know, you will know if you don't know it today that Robin's doing this in concert streaming show on, like I said, Saturday, November 4th, and it's really going to be amazing. Robin, can you tell us a little bit about what's planned for this as far as this concert that people were able to purchase for a very competitive price of $25 for the tickets, which includes some really cool Easter eggs, and I'll tell everyone about what's included with this price besides the concert. So maybe could you tell us how that came about?
Well, I mean, it was actually Alan Robinson's idea to do it. And I must admit, when he first suggested it, I thought to myself, oh, I don't know. I haven't played for 4 years, live. But I warmed to the idea, and eventually we managed to put together the band. Chris Taggart on drums, Richard Watts on bass and vocals, and Sari obviously was really up for it as well. So we got in some good rehearsal, and then we went to a venue, a very, very nice venue to record it, and it was great fun.
Great. So we'll get to hear obviously you, the band, and Sari, which is going to be, I guess you're featuring a few tracks from Joyful Sky as well as some Robin Trower classics, right?
That's right. We do, I think, 8 songs from Joyful Sky.
Oh, wow.
And 4 of the older stuff with Richard singing, whose voice I love, by the way.
Okay. So then again, we want everyone to, get on board for this in-concert streaming show, and you can do that by visiting robintrower.com. So for $25, you're going to get to, see this obviously stream concert, it's pretty big these days. Many artists are doing this. So I think this is going to be a great opportunity on a Saturday night around the world for people to dial in. But as I said earlier, that I jotted some notes. So basically, and there's an exclusive interview that's done that's going to come out on the 30th once you get your ticket. And then there's also an interview that came out today, I believe, with Sari. Then you'll be able to, there's an exclusivity of MP3 download of the concert. So you'll be able to, watch the concert if you download it. And then there's a multi-view concert selection for November 4th. And then some cool prizes. You're going to give away like some signed vinyl, some memorabilia, including like some of your artwork, your full tone pedals, which is very cool, some used strings, and signed set lists is what I'm reading. Am I
Yeah,
right?
that's all good stuff, eh?
That's it. A lot of good swag, as they say.
Yeah,
So I think our Dave Walker would be happy.
yeah, indeed.
Speaking of,
Let's say
I
hi to Dave, by the way.
excuse me.
Let's say hi to Dave while we're
Yes,
talking.
I was just about to say. So, a few people I'd like to thank, obviously, starting with you, and then the band and Sorry, but we have to thank Mr. Alan Robinson and the great Derek Sutton. Obviously Dave Walker and our friend Lori Brace. You can't forget Lori.
Laurie recorded the live show, so he's taken part, definitely.
That was one of my questions. So then, and we both know what Lori can do behind the board for front of house. So it's going to be dialed. I assume that you're still playing an array of Fender, your Fender Signature Series Strats, right?
Yeah. Well, I only play one guitar through the whole set. I tend to sort of hone in on a favorite. I always have a favorite that I'm using, and
Okay.
that one I use for that, the cream one, in fact, is what I used on a lot of Joyful Sky album as well.
And that's that. Oh, okay. And that's the one that has the maple neck on it.
Maple neck, cream colored. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And then obviously you'll be equipped with
I think that's your favorite guitar, if I
it
remember.
is. That's why I had to say that too, because
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you have any spares, feel free to send them my way.
Okay.
And you brought out obviously your Marshalls, right? You're still using the
Yeah.
Marshall. Full tone. You've been with Full Tone for some time, right?
Yeah. Since I think the first one he gave me was in the early 90s. Mike Fuller, that is, from Full Tone.
Okay.
So I've been using it a long time.
Wow. Wow. So this is and from, I saw some little teasers from it already, and not to get, overly excited, but it does sound really amazing. So again, for $25, you're going to get to see Robin and the band, debut most of Joyful Sky, as well as, all these bonus, you know, Easter eggs, as I call them, which is going to be great. So you want to get this on November 4th, and download it. Are you still getting back to the guitar? Are you still using 12 gauge strings
That's right. Well, I mean,
on the E?
yeah, the gauge I use, it's really normal set for most people, but the top two, the top E and B, I use a 12 and a 15
Okay.
because with the Strat, that's the only way you can get some tone out of the guitar, basically.
Okay. Yeah. And again, everyone knows your tone. I remember when I first heard Bridge of Sighs in the 70s. I mean, as you know, I'm a guitar player as well. And boy, I remember being floored. And I played in a band at the time called Sniper, and we covered the Eagle. I was like, wow, but I played it, but I could never play it like Robin. I remember saying it to somebody in the industry, and I know you play it like with the thumb over the top. There's
That's
not
right.
many players that play like that. I know, like, believe it or not, Alan Jardine plays that way, and so does Waddy Wattel. He also plays that thumb over the top. But
Yeah,
I tried to do it that way, and I butchered it because I can't do it.
yeah.
Again, there's only one Robin Trower, which, by the way, next year will be coming up on the 50th, right, of Bridge of Sighs.
That's right. Yeah.
The great Matthew Fisher and our friend, the late Jeff Emmerich, was the engineer for that. Again, he was, besides being an engineer, he was a huge fan. He loved you, and you know that.
Well,
But
Jeff is a big part of why that sounds so great, that album. The way he recorded the guitar, I think he came up with an idea which I don't think had ever been done before, and I think that's a big part of why the guitar sounds so big on that.
wow, yeah, that again, it's a big sound, and that's a groundbreaking record that changed many people's lives as far as guitar players. So, and it still it holds the test of time, just like all his work with the Beatles and the Zombies and the other stuff that he did. But that record is a staple. And speaking of 50th, this the year is the 50th for Twice Removed from Yesterday, which I also have on vinyl, which is really cool because this has all been put out again, remastered. And then there's some extra side 3 and 4 where you have some bonus tracks on here, and then some stuff that's from the John Peel BBC session done in 1973, right?
That's right. There's a lot of extras on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The remastering has really made it sound a lot clearer as well, which is great.
Okay, so then the fans out there, you want to pick this up because it sounds tremendous. But I mean, wow, taking you back all the way to like, I know with the Provogue days in '69. I mean, you played close to me in Atlantic City. I'm sure you remember that the big festival in Atlantic City in 1969, leading into before Woodstock, right? The pop festival in Atlantic City.
Yeah, I remember it well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
It was quite an event. I just think it was the first thing of that kind that we'd ever done, playing outdoors, and it was fabulous, really great.
Did you recall running into? I mean, you had some great, you building your roots on with all these blues artists, and inspired by these blues artists. I know, like looking at the list, like B.B. King was on that bill, right? So
I actually said hello and had a little chat with him, which I was really, really pumped about. Yeah.
Yeah. So that had to be really exciting for you.
It was. Yeah.
And all the days with you obviously playing, another model guitar, but I guess Robert Fripp the story is that Robert Fripp, you tried one of Robert's guitars, his Strat, and that's how you morphed into there was no turning back, right?
It wasn't Robert Fripp, although I was very friendly with Robert, because we toured a lot together. No, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Jethro Tull's guitar player.
Oh, right. Right.
And he had a Strat as a spare guitar, which I very rudely picked up one day without asking him and plugged it into my amp. And as you say, I never looked back from there.
Wow. Yeah. And again, like, the sound, and I hear this from many, legendary artists themselves. They always talk about there's only one Robert Trower, and it's just there's only a few people out there that the Gilmores and the late Jeff Beck, but when it comes to Robin Trower, you defy the sound of it's in your hands. You can't duplicate it. It's just it's the melodies that come out again, like whether it's live. First, it starts with the studio recordings, but then you see you live over the years, and you duplicate it exactly how it is on record. So, but it's still you're improvising, and I mean, I'm sure you've heard that many times before, Robin. Correct?
I like to think I get pretty close to the initial concept of the tracks when I'm playing live. That's the most important thing, because they all have their own mood or atmosphere or vibe, if you like to call it that, and
Sure.
But in terms of the lead work, I always like to give myself a little bit of freedom there.
Okay, and getting back to Joyful Sky, as well as the last couple of releases, you also handled bass duties for and vocals.
Yeah,
Previously.
that's right. I when I started building tracks up on a computer with computer drums, I used to, well, I still do, work out all the parts first. So when I go into the studio, I have a good idea what I want the drums to play, what I want the bass to play, and obviously the guitar, and what the vocal line should sound like. So I found I can get to a finished thing much quicker that way, because it's sort of prearranged in a way, So, and I'm very lucky in having such a great drummer, Chris Taggart, who comes in, and once I've built up the instrumentation, he comes in and replaces the computer drums, and he always does a fantastic job.
Wow, and you used a P bass?
Yeah, Yeah, nothing special about it. I think it's just a reissue. You know, it's about 10 years old, but yeah, I don't consider myself to be a bass player, but because I can play guitar and I know what parts I want, I
Yeah.
get away with it. I definitely get away with it somehow.
Well, you're definitely locked in with Chris on the recording, so you have that part down. So that's good.
Yeah, that's what counts, getting that lock.
Yeah. So again, like I said, the streaming show that's coming up on November 4th, we want everyone to partake by going to robintrower.com. It's like I said, for competitively priced at $25, you're getting, besides getting to see this concert and download it, you get all these bonuses. And at some point, maybe next year, you'll go out and play some live dates wherever, somewhere in the UK or States. Who knows? Right? We'll
Yeah,
see.
I am looking to maybe do some dates in May in the UK.
Great,
We're looking at that at the moment.
great.
I so enjoyed doing the live concert. You know, the video that it gave me a taste for playing in a band and playing live. You know,
Yes, I mean, again, like, when you were touring, extensively pre-COVID, I mean, like we mentioned the Atlantic City Pop Festival, but you had these big arena shows in the early '70s as a headliner, and you toured with so many great acts. I mean, it's crazy. I think that the first time you played in Philadelphia, I think you may have played solo wise. I mean, not with Procol, but I think you did a show with ELO at the Schubert Theater or something like that.
did we?
From what,
Did we? I
right?
don't. I don't remember that, but you could be right. I know when we first went to America, um, the main sort of tours we got on were 10 years after Top of the Bill or
Okay.
Jeff Skull Top of the Bill, and that's where I met Bob Fripp because he King Crimson was second on the bill. I think it was with 10 years after King Crimson, and we opened up the show.
Right. Yeah. And then, well, like I said, you did all those arena shows, but it's weird because longevity, like you had all these arena shows with all the amazing, releases that you put out over the years, Bridge of Sighs, Mirth Below, Long Misty Days, In the City of Dreams, Caravan to Midnight, and Victims of the Fury, and then like the industry sort of changed and it got back to organic. There were smaller venues like in 80, 88, 9, 90, more like club type of venues. And then it went back to slowly, you're back up, doing these 1,500, 2,000 seat houses. So, that says something to test the time that your discography, like it's held up and your fans, they're rabid they love you, Robin. I mean, look, you go on social media and you see they're so excited. And I know they're really excited about the streaming concert and the new release. So, at some point, next year, it'll be great to see some dates wherever that may be. And again, I want to thank you for doing, the podcast today. And
My
again,
pleasure.
yes,
Always great to talk to you, Dave.
it's always great to talk with you and be well. And again, Joyful Sky, you want to buy it, download it, and don't forget to stream on November 4th. So enjoy your evening.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thanks, David. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye. You're right, David. You got enough.